The sun is on and off having another fiesta on this side of my face. Hello, sun. In this video, I'm going to talk about what I believe is the difference between looking for a partner and attracting one. I'm not claiming fact or truth here. I'm just going to explore something that I started to realize yesterday, and I think that there's something there, right? First, I want to preface this with talking about the difference between being in your frame, right? Being in yourself, being in your body, being very centered with who you are, and the contrast to that, which is being very externally focused, right? And in all of my years of codependency, I've had a fuck ton of experience, pretty much at least 2 PhDs at this point, in being very externally focused, right? I believe that there's a difference between looking for a partner and attracting one. And this could also be in terms of like looking for friends and attracting one. If you're constantly looking out there, right? I mean, don't get me wrong, there is this external world, right? But if your focus, if your awareness is constantly external, I would argue that that has an impact on your internal world. I would argue that it has your internal world looking a bit unstable. What do I mean by that? I mean that you might not really know who you are. You might not really have a wholesome sense of self. And I'll say this to kind of make this a bit more clear, right? I don't know if they're long-term relationships, right? Let's not look at time. Let's not look at, duration. Um, some of the relationships that I've seen that seem to be more on the successful side of things, right? You ask them how they met. It wasn't on a dating site. They weren't looking, right? They weren't even trying. They were just doing what they do, and the person came along. The reason why I say that there's a difference between looking for a partner and attracting one is because when you're looking, you've kind of got that energy of, oh, are you the one for me? Are you the one for me? Are you the one for me? Right? You're very much outside of yourself, right? Now, again, in regards to this, it's not good or bad or right or wrong, right? But I believe that there is a difference between really focusing on yourself and creating the things that you want to and attracting based on that, because when that model is put into action, somebody, you can call them the right person, right? Somebody just comes right into place, you know? And that's fascinating because I've had experience in the dating game where I've been very attached to outcome. I have. I have looked, right? Oh, are you the one for me? Are you the one for me? Are you the one for me? Are you going to take care of all of my needs and this, that, and the. I mean, on some real stuff, on some real shit, I've really been like reevaluating everything. The more I really sit with myself, the more I see that. Well, the more I sit with myself and all the relationships that I've had, the more I see that the relationships that I've had have not only been unhealthy, but the reason why I've had a hard time committing is because I've been scared of the overwhelm of meeting all of the needs of an individual, right? Imagine the fucking burden of meeting all of these needs that you wouldn't need to in a relationship where you attracted somebody because you are whole and they are whole, right? And maybe they even attracted you. Maybe it's fucking effortless, right? Maybe you're not trying to grind gears over a fucking coffee date and you're butting heads over some, I don't know, ridiculous shit. Maybe you both synchronized in energy dynamic, right? And you both ended up at the same fucking event and you're both just having your leisurely stroll and you both just come together looking at a painting at an art gallery and maybe I don't know, like anything. Um, One of the most important pieces of advice that anyone ever gave me in regards to relationships and dating is to stop fucking looking, is to stop fucking trying. Yeah. I remember having a conversation with a friend of mine, no names. Um, but I was communicating my relationship struggles. And I just remember my friend said, stop trying. And it's funny too because I look back now, and I mean I've realized this for a long time now, probably at least 6 months to a year. There is a relationship that I was in that I was, I mean, some of the stuff I agreed to, right? But I was just putting a fuck ton of effort in. I really was. Um, it was a very unbalanced dynamic. And so what I've learned is that like the relationships that really work don't require so much effort. Now, don't get me wrong, you're still going to have conversations, you're still going to do this and that. These elements are going to be part of the dynamic, but it's more so natural, but it's natural because you both are very wholesome. And rather than completing each other, you complement each other. And I think that that's the difference between looking for a partner and attracting a partner. I think the other thing is the reason why you look is because you're looking for somebody else to complete you rather than attracting somebody that complements you. And there's a difference here. I believe, based on what I've learned, that people that are emotionally immature and lack healthy boundaries, um, this is a very real problem. I've experienced this in my relationships. People that are emotionally immature and lack healthy boundaries have learned this belief and actually embody it that somebody else out there is their fucking knight in shining armor and is going to come along to save them and complete them and end up being a fucking extension of them to take care of their every goddamn motherfucking unnecessary need. I've been there. I have, and I've given into it. I have. And so here's the other thing about that too, that emotionally immature people seem to have multiple fucking shopping lists of needs that it is actually your overwhelming job to caretake. And apparently they can't do a single one of those things for themselves. Yeah. I used to be in that game. I don't fucking vibe with that anymore. The more I learn about how much of a burden it is to caretake all of these excessive and unnecessary needs of emotionally immature and emotionally unavailable people, the more I'm like, yeah. And again, it's not good or bad or right or wrong. You can do whatever the fuck you want to. Maybe you learned that that was your fucking role through your trauma and you found the new person that fits that fucking traumatic puzzle piece. And so you're like, okay, yeah, Godspeed, you know, full reins ahead. Let's fucking do this. I'll pass. I will. I will. Because if you find yourself in a relationship with somebody like that, there's a good fucking chance that you're going to spend, if not all of your time, a mass literal fucking majority of your time caretaking them in every single way that they have ordered you to, because they are somewhere between an infant and a fucking toddler or a child. They're stagnated at a very early age, and they believe that you've come along to not only save them but fucking complete them. Yeah, I'll pass. I'll pass. Um, so the other way around, when it kind of just happens and the right person comes along and comes to fit, right? And you're doing the same thing for the other person. It's so natural. It's basically a fucking dance by the cosmos, you know? Um, it's universal at that point. You're not trying. You're more grounded in who you are. You're not looking outside of you. You're not being like, "Oh, are you my soulmate? Are you my soulmate? Are you my soulmate?" And by the way, I don't really know how I feel about like soulmates anymore. I don't know how I feel about twin flames anymore. I just really look at if somebody has healthy boundaries, if they've done the work to individuate and differentiate. Those are both Freudian terms, Freudian psychology, Sigmund Freud. Um, if they're respectful, right? And that, of course, comes with having healthy boundaries. You can tell when somebody doesn't have if somebody doesn't have healthy boundaries, if they haven't individuated and differentiated. Um, they project and displace their shit onto you. They verbally abuse you. And in terms of individuation and differentiation, if they haven't gone through that stuff, they're highly fucking dependent on you, right? Because they haven't individuated, they haven't differentiated, they don't have those healthy boundaries in place. They haven't, recognized the difference between self and other responsibility and self responsibility and other responsibility, right? You're going to have a drastically different experience of a time with somebody that is emotionally underdeveloped and somebody that has actually done the work, whether from childhood or after an adulthood, of healthy boundaries, individuation, and differentiation. That's just the reality of it. Um, but yeah, the energy of looking kind of great note to end off with, right? Um, when you're looking for a partner, you're kind of like based in lack, right? Maybe you feel like you have to look for love, right? Instead, what you could do is feel the love inside of you, love yourself with that experience of love, right? And you'll attract based on that. You're basically just like putting this signal out that, like, oh yeah, I love myself. Cool. You're going to attract somebody based on that. So what does that mean? You're going to attract somebody that loves themselves. Now, let me make this very, 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 very fucking clear. Like crystal clear. This cannot be confused. If you attract somebody, or sorry, if you find somebody, I'll say find. If you find somebody that does not love themselves, good motherfucking luck getting them to love you. Right? And that usually happens when you're in lack. Oh, something is missing. I need to find it out there. Yeah, you're likely to find an unhealthy dynamic with an individual who's got some. I mean, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. We've all got our shit. We've all got our shit, right? You're likely to find somebody that looks to you to complete them, like I was saying before, right? Um, And one of the other things that I want to say about the dynamic of looking for a partner rather than attracting a partner is, you might find yourself stepping into shoes that are inauthentic to you and doing things that you don't actually want to do because you're just repeating a pattern that you learned that you have to, abandon yourself. You've got to do things that are not authentic to you to get people to like you, to receive love, all these things, right? And so you're basically stepping into that of another persona when you're doing that, and you're not really being yourself, right? And you can feel it because it's not authentic to you, but you learn that that's what you have to do to get people into your life to love you, this, that, and the other, right? So yes, there is a difference between looking and trying, Oh, I'm trying to find a partner. I'm trying to find a relationship. Oh, how's that working out for you? I can tell you how it's worked out for me. And that's okay. Because what matters is that that's brought me to this point where I've learned, right? Stop trying, stop looking, right? Just have fun. That energy when you're looking, when you're trying, it can be felt, right? You're not having fun. Oh, I'm trying. I'm anxious. I'm looking. I'm trying. I'm anxious. I'm looking. I'm trying to find the right person for me. Is it you? 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 Fuck no. Take all that shit back on yourself. Ground with yourself. Love yourself. Focus on yourself. Do the things that you actually want to do. Live life for enjoyment and fun rather than trying and looking. Believe me, there's a fucking difference, and that difference is felt.